There is an element in horror games I don't think has gotten enough appreciation over the years, and that is the stalker enemy. While it's true some don't like the idea of a constant threat hounding you for your entire run, for me it was a nice way to add variety to the genre, keeping you on edge and forcing you to play smart and plan your journey accordingly. Alien Isolation took this idea from games like Amnesia: The Dark Descent and greatly expanded on it, putting you in a space station in disarray with both environmental hazards and hostile forces impeding your progress. All of it while you are also playing a game of cat and mouse with the titular alien. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let's pull back a bit and cover the basics. The game puts you behind the motion tracker of Amanda Ripley, the daughter of Ellen Ripley, an employee of the infamous Weyland-Yutani Company, traveling to the space station Sebastopol, having learned the news that the black box of the Nostromo from the first movie had finally been recovered after 15 years since the ship and Ellen Ripley's disappearance. However, as soon as she and her team arrive, things seem off. The station has fallen into disarray, with the crew having become divided and violent. Working Joes are hostile toward humans, and worse yet, there's a creature lurking in the vents, a xenomorph slowly killing and kidnapping survivors. So now, stranded on the station, Amanda has to navigate her way out of it. All of it while trying not to die from the horrors lurking around, and getting to learn the truth of what happened to her mother in the process. And that's about the tip of the iceberg, because Amanda's journey has her meet plenty of people and face a lot of danger, and that is where the meat of the game lies. Getting out of the station is a lot easier said than done. In the middle of all the chaos, services like communications, transport and so on have been cut off. So it's up to you to repair or unlock these places in order to progress, which makes a lot of sense when you remember Ripley is an engineer. We are essentially playing Dead Space in first person. It's a neat way to go full circle after how much the Alien franchise influenced other games, and in this case I actually like how it's handled. Being an engineer, it means you have an easier time navigating your way through the station. From the classic vents to maintenance tunnels, and even using a variety of gadgets to unlock doors and upgrade your security access. This means exploration is heavily encouraged. You really do want to break open and remove as many obstacles as possible, because you never know what kind of supplies you can find. On the surface, this may not sound too special. After all, what you got in essence is just a variety of animations and minigames that will let you unlock things. But it's designed in a way where you want to remember lock places that require a tool you don't have just yet, because you can actually return there later to open it up. Because even though the story and the main objectives are fairly linear, there is a slight Metroidvania element to these levels. You don't notice it at first, but you do return to previous areas a couple of times before you leave them behind to move forward with the story. It's so subtle I didn't even notice it until my third playthrough. But that's just the navigation. It will make for a rather mundane game if all you did was fix the station, so as you are moving through these areas, you get hostiles in 3 categories: human enemies, working Joes, and the main attraction, the xenomorph. Because of the aliens' rampage through the station, the Sebastopol societal structure essentially collapsed. The crew started dividing itself in factions, hoping to either escape, secure a safe haven, or simply scavenge for supplies to get around. When you get to reluctantly join forces with a number of humans, the majority of them are going to be patrolling a number of areas. Some will have the courtesy to warn you to get away from the area if you wander into their territory. Others are more interested in shooting first and skip questions never. The fun bit about the gameplay here is how versatile it is. You can do the usual stealth section and find ways to sneak past them, or get away from a place before they invade it and possibly spot you. On the other hand, you can use tools and gadgets to create distractions and create a hole in their patrols. But if you don't feel like sneaking at all and you got the resources, you can just kill them all, either with your trusty wrench or with your guns. Same thing goes for the working Joes. While the humans are no joke and are very able to kill you if you're not careful, working Joes are well-educated murder tanks. Being synthetic, they can take far more punishment than humans, they can deal heavy damage against you, and while they are very killable, you better have a health budget, because there are models that are even more damage resistance. They crank up the horror factor nicely because they don't run after you or rush you. Instead, they simply power walk towards you, ready to snap your neck. All of it while calmly giving you friendly reassurances that they just want to help you out. Second? Usually in horror games, especially survival horror, you are given enough tools to defend yourself, but very often it is advised you leave combat as a last resort, and the same thing applies to this game. You can defend yourself however you want, but know that the price of making too much noise is that you will attract the xenomorph to your vicinity, and unlike the humans and the working Joes, the alien can and will kill you on the spot if it sees you. And here is where all the moving parts of this game come together and make me love it so much. Once you are let loose into the station and you start progressing the story, the game turns into this awesome little set of varied gameplay challenges that can end in a number of ways, and it all depends entirely on your own actions. Because of all the systems, the alien is the wild card. I'm not sure if I should go deep into it because this is what this game is famous for, but let's dive into it because it's so much fun. Basically, the xenomorph is built in a way that will respond to your gameplay tactics. If, for example, you hide in a locker every time it patrols and wait for it to go away, it will start picking up on it and start baiting you by going back into the vents, then jumping right back down the second you are out. If you got a flamethrower on you, you can save yourself by scaring the alien away with a nice burst of fire. But doing so will cost you a bit of health as the alien runs over you. And if you rely on it too much, the alien will learn to keep its distance, if not downright charge you. If you use distractions like flares or noisemakers, the alien will start pretending to check out the distraction, but then will also investigate where it came from. And these are just a few examples off the top of my head. I could spend hours listing the many ways the alien responds to you, but people better qualified for it has already made their analysis videos. So what we got here is a stalker enemy that will force you to adapt and overcome almost as much as you are forcing it to adapt to your own strategies. It's made even better by the game giving you a fair number of levels where it's just you and the xenomorph having a nice one-on-one hunt. And what makes it extra terrifying is that the in-universe reason it's targeting you in particular is because it's getting angry that you are getting away from it. But you can even use that to your own advantage. Once you encounter the alien for the first time, it will never truly leave you. It's, like I said, a wild card. If you feel like you're in too much of a tight spot with the human enemies, you can make a dangerous gamble and weaponize it, by causing enough noise that it will force it to come out. And if you do things right, it will then begin to kill every human enemy in the area one by one, leaving you plenty of room to get to your objective. Of course, the price of using that tactic is that now you have an alien to hide from, but the fact that the game allows you to do wild strategies like that is a testament to its quality. Sadly, as much as I am singing well-deserved praises to this game, there is a number of things I need to address. Most players look back on this game fondly, but the reality is that critics and some players were not kind to it when it released. The most common criticism this game received was both its pacing and its length. Because the game is very story-driven, you spend at least the first 2 hours of the game getting tutorials, and it still takes a little bit before the alien is truly let loose on you. On the other hand, The Linked was criticized because there are certain moments in the story where people felt there was a very ideal endpoint for it, only for a last second twist pulling you away from the goal into yet another chapter. I can see why both situations can be frustrating. At the time, there was a growing frustration with games holding your hand out of fear you'll be missing the story element. And for horror games, if you don't hit the right spot for length, you risk exhausting your players, or worse, get them so desensitized to the horror that the major beats of the climax don't hit as good. For me, I will admit I am not bothered by it. Yes, it gets ridiculous when tears start to stretch out, but on the other hand, it likely reflects what was happening behind the scenes at Creative Assembly. They likely assumed they wouldn't get a chance to make another Alien game, so they decided to put in as many ideas as they could. Considering no more isolation-style games came out after this, I think they made the right call. And I don't really mind the more story-driven segments or spending a bit of time just watching or reading lore from computers, because the story in this game is just fantastic. In an era where Colonial Marines was touting itself as a canonical part of the franchise, Alien Isolation surpasses that in spades. Not only because of its story being canonical to the first movie, but because of how much they nailed the style and the atmosphere.
Danger. The emergency destruct system is now activated.
Lucky.
The ship will detonate in T-minus 3 minutes.
Look anywhere in the Sebastopol, and you will see the same kind of environments from the movies. The place is truly lived in, and the environmental storytelling lets you imagine just how things used to be before the alien got loose and started murdering everyone. Not to mention, the characters are written or portrayed as actual people, and not just horror cliches. Anytime I replay this game, I am more than happy to sit through the story, because it is that good. But even if we ignore that, there is a genuine challenge to the gameplay. You can come back to this game and its DLCs and find yourself strategizing differently each time you deal with hostiles, or have a little one-on-one with the alien. I cannot overstate how important player expression is, and that a horror game of all things allows for it is a testament to its quality. So by the end of the day, if you are among the few who haven't played this game, please get a copy and enjoy a grand old time. Not everyone is going to enjoy it, and that's okay, because horror itself is a niche. But if you're the kind of player that likes to get immersed and really mess around with ways to survive an intimidating hostile environment, this game is for you. Thankfully, we live at a time when horror is enjoying a nice little resurgence, but part of me wishes the game had received better appreciation. I could only imagine how amazing another game by this developer could have been, or how they could have expanded on these mechanics. But alas, it is as they say, perhaps it was simply not meant to be. Or maybe it was meant to be, because just as I finished writing this, Creative Assembly announced a sequel has entered early production, just as we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the game's launch. So that's quite a happy note to end on, and yet another reason to revisit the game, and give it that well-deserved love.